Hi, this is Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that spotlights the stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So sit back, relax, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. Today's Someone You Should Know podcast guest is part of a band that I've been enjoying since probably 1983. Goes back quite a while. The band is Zebra. From the band, my guest today, lead singer and guitarist Randy Jackson. Randy, it's an honor to have you on the show, my friend.
Oh, thanks. Good to be here, Rick. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Randy, believe it or not, you and I actually met backstage, I'm going to say probably in 2003 or 2002 or something like that. You were opening for Shooting Star Pop's nightclub in Sauget, Illinois. We had some pleasantries backstage, and you were very, very kind. And I believe we said something to like, hey, I'd like to have you on my show someday. And it's taken 2 decades, but Randy, welcome to my show.
Well, it finally happened, so. And I'm glad I'm still here to do it.
I know. The planets are in alignment. Zebra formed in 1975. 3 core members are still together. You and Felix and Guy. What's been the key to success to keep this band together for going on 48 years?
Oh, I'll tell you, I think, after the first 5, we pretty much knew what to expect from each other. And I think the key is just, enjoying what you're doing and enjoying it, doing it with the people you're with. I see a lot of bands breaking up, and they break up over ridiculous reasons. Sometimes they want to get somebody that they think is better. And, look, all these reasons are valid, but at the end of the day, staying together has a lot of value. And I think that's part of why we've stayed together, is because the fans have been there for us all these years. Plus, the fact that we get along off stage well, too. We pretty much align politically the same way. Right. And I think that's kind of helped. I see some other bands that just they're fighting about everything, they're outside of the band.
Yeah, there's some bands that
keep stuff together.
The only thing they could do is be in the studio together. Outside of that, they hate each other completely. So, it's nice to see that you guys have those still pleasantries after 48 years, because there's a lot of things that could come between, band members, namely women. But that's always seems to be the thing. Hey, I want to pass on congratulations on something that was bestowed on the band in 2010. You were elected to the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. That is you got a pretty good class of individuals in there when you think of all the jazz and blues legends and such from that area.
Yeah, we're really proud of that. They gave that to us when we were playing at the Mahalia Jackson Theater. It was our 35th anniversary show. Wow. Down in New Orleans, and knowing we grew up in New Orleans and to get that was it was quite an experience.
All right, very good. We're going to go back to 1983. You had an album out on Atlantic Records. The first release from it was called Who's Behind the Door. I fell in love with the song immediately, and to this day it is on my eargasm playlist, which means I got to play it until it ends. Plain and simple. What's the backstory on this classic, Randy?
Well, the whole theme to the song, I was inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey.
All right, yeah.
When I saw that movie, it really, really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I've always thought it was still to this day the best sci-fi movie about aliens, because it never puts a face on them. And I thought that was really smart and slick. And I've read all the backstory about it and how they, all the input they got from different scientists and stuff along the way of doing the movie. And it's pretty impressive. But, if I had to point to one thing that really inspired that song, I'd have to say it was that. And, the song really just asks a lot of questions, which is, what the movie did for me. It lets you be the explorer, just ask you a question, push you in a direction. So that's what I tried to do with the song.
When you actually shot the video for this for MTV and such, do you remember, the whole process and such? Do you still remember that?
I remember enough of it. Yeah. I remember we were, it was all done in a kind of a rush. And I think that the director, given the amount of time he had, it was a pretty good concept for the video. But and he kind of touched on some of the things that I think I was trying to talk about, but not certainly not as deep as I was when I wrote the song.
All right.
But we had a great time doing it. We did the whole thing in Manhattan. As a matter of fact, some of those scenes that look like they're out in the desert or something, they're actually in the middle of Manhattan. And I was shocked too. I said, "Where did this place come from?" When we went out there, But yeah, sure enough,
Awesome. Well, tell you what, we'll go back to 1983 and play that song. It's one of my favorites. I know you're going to like it. I played it for my wife for the very first time yesterday, and she goes,
"Wow,
how come I've never heard this song before?" And I said, well, you've been missing out because today's guest is going to be all about this song. It's Randy Jackson from Zebra. The song is Who's Behind the Door, and here it is right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Sailed away. We walked about some miles and then we slipped away. We looked so hard, but couldn't seem to find just what the world was for. Now we know just what the journey's for. They haven't got the time.
That's one of my all-time favorite songs, Who's Behind the Door from Zebra. My guest today is Randy Jackson on the Someone You Should Know podcast. Randy, I mentioned earlier that you were on the bill with Shooting Star when I first saw you. You've been touring with so many bands through the years. Any particular band that you enjoyed touring with more than any other?
A couple of the bands that I really liked were like Cheap Trick and Sammy Hagar. Those two bands I really enjoyed. I mean, everybody was great to us. We toured with Loverboy for a while, and they were all really good. We never had any issues with the bands, and as a matter of fact, most of them really took care of us. Sammy Hagar in particular, we had been playing with when we first got out and started touring with him. We were getting a pretty good sound check. We had time to set up and everything, and as the tour kind of wore on, his crew was just not being, as diligent as they could be about getting us on stage to get a sound check. And he found out about it and just surprised them one day and came out and chewed them out right in front of everybody about it, because he was saying, what do you think these guys are here for? They're here to warm up the show, to get the crowd going, not to sound like crap and get everybody in a bad mood, know. And
very good.
Yeah, it was great. So
awesome. It's nice to see that they take good care of the fledgling acts that are trying to make a name in the business. After the success of the very first album in 1984, you came out with No Telling Lies, another great album that I loved, and from there is a great song that's one of my favorites. Also, it's called Bears. The backstory on this one.
Bears is an anti-hunting song.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in New Orleans, but my grandparents had a farm in Texas, and I used to go fishing. I didn't hunt much, but my cousins did. My uncle, they used to go hunting, and I never understood it. It really had to do more with morally against it, and I've heard all the arguments, overpopulation and stuff like that, but I'm just not buying any of that stuff.
And I love the vibe on the song, man. It's just a great song. The musically is just so beautiful, and it's one of my favorites. And since it is a cold winter's day, here's the appropriate song to play. It's Bears from the band Zebra, and my guest, Randy Jackson.
In the middle of winter, the trees are bare and the bears are hibernating. The only sound in the forest is the sound of snow heard crashing to the ground. And
From their second album called No Telling Lies, Zebra, and a great song called Bears. My guest today from Zebra is Randy Jackson. We've been talking about the fact that you're from New Orleans. I'm throwing this in here at the last moment. I love Cajun food. Anything particular that you're good at making Cajun-wise, Randy, at Touffet? Maybe, no?
My wife is an awesome cook.
Awesome.
But, no, I'm not that great. I used to cook a pretty good red beans and rice, but that's as close to Cajun cooking as I ever came, you know.
Breaking out the old Zatarans.
That was about a long time ago, yep.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I love Cajun food, and anytime I get an invitation to go to a crawfish boil or something like that, I said, you count me in.
Yeah, it's really good, and there's a lot of great restaurants down in Louisiana where you can just... You know, it's hard to pick which one you want to go to.
All right. Two past guests of the podcast, my friends Soup Granda and Gary Hoey, are all doing something that you're a part of coming up in February. It is the 2023 Rock Legends Cruise. You've done this before. What's it like?
Oh, that was one of my favorite cruises. We've done 3 cruises in the past, but the Rock Legends was my favorite. And again, it had to do with the bands that were playing. Last time we had Bad Company, and we also had Sammy Hagar on the cruise too. But there were a lot of great bands, you know, and Gary Hoey was on it. And we just had an awesome time, you know. It's just kind of, you know, my years of music, you know, my era when I was listening, when I was a kid. And I guess that had more to do with it than anything else. We're looking forward to it, looking forward to going back.
I was talking to Gary a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying that the thing that he enjoyed the most was because he was so busy as a musician, he didn't have the time to really experience the other acts. And now we got a chance to actually sit back and watch them. He says, well, I missed a whole lot.
Yeah. But, I mean, they keep you pretty busy on the cruise, but I made it a point to go see a lot of the bands, and they're all right there. So you can, you know, as a band, yeah, it's a great chance to go see some bands that you don't get to see too often.
Plus, it's a great thing for all the people who are on board the ship. It's like going to Woodstock at sea.
Oh, yeah. And everybody's got a backstage pass, you know, everybody's hanging out.
I'll be darned. All right. Well, we're going to feature another song. This one is actually, we're going to step ahead to Zebra 4. The song is called Why. Very nice vibe. I really like this song. What's the story behind this one, Randy?
It's, you know, just a song about kind of pondering the end of life. Again, you know, why we're here. Kind of like who's behind the doors, but more focused on, like, you're really facing the end, you know, as opposed to just the wonder of it all. And, you know, I actually have my dog Bonnie on there at the very end. If you crank it up at the very end of the song, the last chord, you can hear her growl at me because she's trying to get my attention, and I'm just trying to get her. Don't do anything. This is the tape. And I put my finger up to my mouth, and you hear her go. You know?
Every once in a while, Angel, the studio cat, will wander across the board here, and it's like, Angel, don't touch anything, please. Don't hit anything on mute. Don't hit the mute button, please.
Yeah.
But we gotta love our pets. So listen for Bonnie at the end of this song. We'll hold off to the very end before we talk again. It's my friend Randy Jackson from Zebra. The song is called Why, and it's next on the Someone You Should Know podcast.
Why are we here all alone? With nobody here to tell us what to do. Everybody here can tell you how, but not why. All of your life why were we put here by the sun? With nobody here to tell us why it burns. Lots of people here could tell you how, not why. All of your life before you get too old. Count the cost before you lose your soul. Don't you question God before you die, 'cause all you'll hear is how, never why. Oh, be a good soul, let your prayers surround you. Comfort that your reason can't control. All you have is faith that'll get you through. And you're wondering why. Tell me, how do you feel? Lord, 'cause I'm losing my mind. This is only a dream. Till we're gone, with no answers to why. Oh. Why are we here all alone? Praying love creates immortal souls. All the love within you tells you how and why. All of your life.
Great music from Randy Jackson and Zebra. The song is called Why. Now, look, Randy, you and the guys have been together since '75. I'm assuming you've had your share of interesting road stories. The next section is called Tales from the Road. It is those infamous road stories of things that happen getting to a gig, coming from a gig, something that happened at the gig, your accommodations, something that happened backstage. Anything come to mind as one of your most famous moments behind the scenes?
Yeah. I mean, I think of one all the time. We were on the road during the second album, and Wait Until the Summer's Gone. That had been out for a while, and Atlantic had released Lullaby as a single, a song that I wrote about John Lennon, and it was getting a ton of airplay in Denver. As a matter of fact, it was the #1 song in Denver, and we were pulling into Denver at that time. So, it was going to be a great moment. We had, it was one of the more complex songs we had as a three-piece. I'm playing keyboards, guitar. Felix is playing, multiple keyboards, and we had a whole bunch of stuff going on stage. And back then, the keyboards were, you had to really boot everything up. I mean, you had to wait a while for things to come in. You were loading keyboards with discs and all this kind of stuff back in 1984. And so we're playing the song at the arena there in Denver, and all of a sudden we just hear this huge kaboom! It was like a big boom, and all of a sudden, I'm listening, and everything's whacked. I mean, the whole power in the building turned off.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, everything turned off and then jumped right back on again. So the whole PA system popped, the monitors, everything. But the main thing for us was the keyboards had gotten unprogrammed. We had, and here we were in the middle of the song. We didn't stop. That's the first rule. Don't stop. Just keep going. And I don't even remember, how it ended or what happened after that. But I just know that, man, after that thing popped, it was almost like, like the curtain had like got shut for a second and reopened, and we were all naked. That's the only thing I can equate it to.
Gosh.
It was just so bizarre, you know.
Good story. Thanks, Red. I do appreciate it. What are the plans for the band and for you and the band in 2023?
Well, we're working on new material.
Oh, good. Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah, we just had some shows in New York, and while we were here, we did some rehearsal on a couple of songs, and we're going to get those recorded. Hopefully, we'll have something finished by the time we do the cruise, and
awesome.
Get something new out.
Awesome. Very, very good. How about some links to the band, Randy?
Yeah, the website is thedoor.com.
As in who's behind.
Right, who's behind the door. So just go to thedoor.com. If you want to find us on Facebook or Twitter, I mean, with me, you just go on Facebook and type in Randy Jackson Zebra, those 3 words, and then you'll be able to pull up the correct Randy Jackson.
I was going to ask you that question. Do you get, I mean, as far as they say Randy Jackson musician, do they think it's maybe the guy from American Idol or or the Jacksons?
Jackson 5, yeah. And that one too, you know. So there's even a page in Wikipedia that, you know, distinguishes between all the Randy Jacksons. So
people come up to you and say, "How's LaToya doing?" You know?
Well, I'll tell you, you'd be surprised. I actually had a situation years ago where my attorney called me up and said that Janet Jackson's attorney was contacting us to let us know that she was going to be recording One More Chance and just letting us know that she's going to be doing it and it's going to be on her record. And we're going, nah, okay. This is her. No, she's not recording Zebra's One More Chance. She's trying to call her brother. They're trying to call him. So how confusing is that? I mean, you'd figure at least her lawyer would know what the brother's phone number is or how to get in touch with his publishing company, you know?
That's
but
funny.
It just goes to show you just never know.
You never know. Absolutely. All right. So what we're going to do is down there in the show notes, if you're out in your car right now and you're listening to the podcast or you happen to be at work or something like that, the show notes will have all the links that will get you to Zebra, especially the cruise too, because there's still time to get a chance to get booked for the cruise, because that's Valentine's Day, and I know it's going to be a great time with Zebra and a couple of my other friends that you've heard here on the podcast. It's going to be a great time. And any final thoughts, Randy, you want to mention?
You know, just that we're just happy to still be here after 47 years together, and we're looking forward to the 50th, you know.
That'd be great.
It'll be great if we get there, you know. So hopefully we'll all be here. We're all healthy right now, and hopefully it'll stay that way.
You guys survived the pandemic. It's going to take something larger than that to take down Zebra.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're survivors at this point.
All right, let's wrap.
Say that.
We're going to wrap up the show with another song from Zebra 4, "Waiting to Die." Kind of a ominous song. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wrote it. I've suffered from depression my whole life.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, since I was a kid, and I kind of self-medicated for years and years, and then I stopped drinking and doing any kind of other stuff for like 10 years, and I was still suffering from this. So I eventually went to get help, and it made a big difference. But you know, even through the years with taking medication, it only gets it a little better, but it doesn't like completely take it away. I mean, lately, the last couple of years, I've been really good. But that song was written about the depression and kind of just how you feel when you're that depressed, and that's my take on it. It's really just. It's horrible. People that haven't experienced it, you really can't describe it, because you know, people that don't have depression, you know, how can you feel that way? You know, there's it's just weird. You just, you know, it's the weirdest thing. Some days you'll feel like you know, I'll get up and sweep the whole house, I'm fine, and the next day you can't even get out of bed or think about it, and it's painful, and it's an undescribable thing. But that was that's the thrust of that song, and I think I did pretty good on it.
I think so too. We're going to feature that now to close the Someone You Should Know podcast. Randy, I thank you so much for being on the show today, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, Rick.
Look
Look at the madness. It's out of control. It's feeding your sadness and eating your soul. You're feeling so lonely, not very strong. You wait for the curtain, it's taking too long. Find you go nowhere. You're very confused, swearing you're happy. It's just self-abuse. You could think of 20 zillion places you could be if you could go. Cannot escape because the world is watching you, and they know hell is not anywhere. It's all in your mind, dragging you through time, living in misery, no matter company. Why should I try? Feel oblivion, riding around the sun, waiting to die. You're drowning in sadness. Pray it's a dream, possibly tragic. You silently scream. You might want the world to be as miserable as you. That would be cruel. But lies and self-fulfilling prophecies are all you have. You're just a fool. Hell is not anywhere. It's all in your mind, dragging you through time, living in misery, no matter company. Why should I try? you better. But it's not what it seems. Come off of your solo. See what I mean? Hell is not anywhere. It's all in your mind, dragging you through time, living in misery. Know that I can't believe. Why should I try? Little oblivion, riding around the sun, waiting to die. Living in misery, no better godly. Why should I try? Little oblivion, riding around, waiting to kills you. You waste away. Do you cry? Do you have anyone to tell you no? Can you hide the total darkness of your soul?
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.